I'm Chris McDonough, a retired homicide detective. I've interviewed thousands of people, from serial killers to ministers. Welcome to the interview room. Welcome, everybody, to the interview room. It's time to take a seat. As always, coming to you from an undisclosed location. If you enjoy real crime and mystery, you've come to the right channel. At TIR, we follow the evidence wherever it takes us in a case. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. All opinions are welcome here. We only ask that you keep them safe, classy, and factual. Thank you always to our mods, our members, and our subscribers. With all of you, we move mountains of justice for families and for victims. Got a great program ahead. Tonight's guest, Richard and Maricris, are here to bring a voice to Maya. Her husband's in custody on trial. Also with us, the great Billy Little. Love this guy. One of the brightest legal minds in this country. And he's going to help us make sense of some of the legal maneuvering taking place in the Millete case. As always, we just ask that you be kind and considerate to one another here in the chat this evening. We just ask that you be considerate of victims' families, and one another. Please take care of each other. That's what we can do in a positive way here on YouTube, for sure. Welcome to the show this evening. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. We're so grateful. I'm so grateful. We're going to be bringing Richard, Maricris, and Billy in here in about a second or two, but I just want to give you a quick update. There's been a lot of craziness going on YouTube, and I think we're all better than that, personally. That's just my 2 cents. But I just want to give you an update on the Michael Vaughn case. So I've been in Idaho the last almost just under 10 days, meeting with the Fruitland Police Department and Michael's family and the Vaughns. And I just want to tell you guys that Fruitland Police Department has brought in the Cold Case Foundation as additional resources to help the search in Michael Vaughn. And I also want to tell you, in my opinion, being up there, this is an abduction. This 5-year-old little boy is still out there. And we need to focus our energies, especially in the YouTube community, on finding this little boy. I can't go into a lot of details of what's going to take place, but I can tell you as a surety that Coop and Dean and myself and 137 other investigators, experienced investigators, are weighing in the Michael Vaughn case, and the parents are not the target at all. This is a random abduction. That little boy was seen outside of his house on numerous occasions by numerous witnesses. So let's focus our energies on where we can be the most positive for that family. Brandy, Tyler, Bob, the Fruitland Police Department, all of them are doing an amazing job trying to find that little 5-year-old. And I got to give it to Chief Huff up there. He's a dynamic human being, and they are focused with the FBI, Idaho State Police, and the family in searching for this little boy. So let's keep it classy as we go forward in that case, and not bring a lot of craziness to it, because the family doesn't deserve it. They need focus to help them find their child. Speaking of that, finding our sister. I can tell you I've known a lot of people in my life, but there are just certain people that come around that are just amazing human beings. And Richard and Maricris are some of those people. I think Richard would attest that he married way up. And I know that Maricris and the two of them have been working so diligently to find Maya as well. And this show's tonight is going to focus 100% on Maya and the updates going on there. So without further ado, let me bring in Richard, Maricris, and of course, my special friend, Billy Little. Hey, everybody.
Hello, Chris.
How is everybody doing? Let me shut this banner off down here so we're not distracted. Aloha.
Aloha. Thanks for having us again, Chris, for today. And as always, we are very grateful for you and your show. And of course, you guys been there since the beginning for us. Can't say, thank you enough, for you and everyone else that's been supporting us. So. I don't want to get since the beginning still, and I get very emotional already. So I can't really help it. But from really from the bottom of my heart and from my family, we are very truly grateful for you and Billy and everyone else.
Well, you're very sweet and always so kind, the two of you, and your sister has made such an amazing impact on the world. She really has. I mean, it's, I know where you guys come from and how you, just all the amazing thing that you've been doing. And then that's how I met that guy right down there, through your sister. And we have become really good. Yeah, it's like the Hollywood squares, right? And I mean, you guys have brought so much love to the world. You brought the aloha spirit to the world just by your diligence and just who you are. And I know Maya because I know you. And, we're going to talk about, what this knucklehead is doing. Now, I mean, remember we talked about the multiple phases, right? Okay. And I think people aren't quite aware that, and me and Billy and many others have been behind the scenes, kind of, seeing if you needed anything, helping you understand your processes and that kind of stuff, and kind of, preparing you for what's coming next. But there's some legal maneuvering going on now, and that's why this guy down here is here tonight to kind of talk about, a little bit, on how things are going in that part of the puzzle. So, first of all, Billy, great to see you tonight as well, my friend.
Three of my favorite people right here.
Oh.
And he married way up too, by the way, right, Richard?
Yeah.
We agree with that too.
I haven't had the pleasure to meet your wife, Billy, but I know she's a great person. If
Well, I'm pretty sure you'll meet her within the next few weeks.
Oh yes,
hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Billy, how have you been? How's it going?
Fantastic, and thank you for. I echo what Richard and Maricris said, and thank you, Chris, for all the support you've been and keeping this thing alive and putting these broadcasts out there to help people and help them find May. So.
Well, I'm a small chip in a very large bag, and every once in a while, it makes a difference, and we're just so grateful to have the honor to be here and to help in a very small way, but hopefully we can make a large impact. So let's talk about how everything is going in terms of updates. Richard, Maricris, what can you share with us in relationship to how the family dynamics and how that all is taking care of itself?
I mean, long story would be just that we're actually united as a family. We're stronger. The last year and a half have really tested our love for each other. I guess you would say our love for each other in a sense that things won't be the same, and we all understand that. But we need each other to kind of like move forward. We can't be stuck in the same problem forever. But it's one of those things that we can't move completely forward 100% until we find answers. So we always sit down as a family and always talk about how great it is to have a big support around the family, the community of Chula Vista, the police department, people like Billy, people like you, Chris, that have come out of, I mean, God sent you guys our way somehow, some way. We can't explain exactly, or we just have to understand it. It's from God. There's no other way to put it. And it's just it's a great feeling, but at the same time we still have our family missing, and that hole in our hearts won't be able to completely heal until we find answers. And even then, I mean, it's just our family got bigger and stronger. But we're moving forward slowly, and we still have a lot of answers. I mean, a lot of questions that we don't have answers to. But yeah, we're here together. Family.
I don't think we have that changed in my family. Since I know Chris. I think we've told you since the beginning. I think we even at the beginning we were strong. We have a strong bond with the siblings, and even though now and then we have problems. Through the 19 months, but we sit down together and talk about it, and we all have an open mind, and we solve it. I mean, we are all in the same boat, and we are all 100% agree, on what's going on. I mean, with the plan, and our family is still staying strong with you guys, support. But it's just. You could actually tell that everybody is hurting.
Yeah.
We have this ongoing nightmare that it's not ending, but we always say we have each other to support, and I mean, that's just been the dynamics of the family and haven't really been changed. So we stay strong as a family, and with everyone else's support too. So that's what's been going on.
Yeah, and let's tell everybody about what you guys have done to even making your searching better. And I know you guys have a GoFundMe page for the new search efforts coming. I mean, you guys have been searching now since day one. And for the viewers, if you're just new here, I've never seen somebody so dedicated. I mean, I want to, I don't know if you've met Frances yet, but she searched for her son Brian for over 2 years straight, and then they found him, and now she has some sense of peace because the suspect's on trial right now. But you remind me so much of that dedication to your family, and you guys have put a GoFundMe page together. Tell everybody about that. And I just put the link, everybody, in the chat. So I'll keep putting it in here too for everybody.
I think, as we always say, we're never going to give up until we bring Maya home. And that's what we've been doing. We every every other weekend since, well, in the first year we were searching almost every week, every weekend. And now that we did have visitation with the kids, we put it every other weekend. And, we still have, this big-hearted people, volunteers, our team members that's been coming and helping us search. So that's what we've been doing, and we do have a plan again to go out in the desert.
Yeah, just because it's been hot out here. I mean, obviously it's the summer, so it's not too safe to be out in the desert searching the 100 and 120 degree weather. But once it starts to cool down, yeah, we have plans to go back and search the desert once again.
Yeah.
And this is why we opened up the GoFundMe to kind of help support financially support those efforts. For food, gas, and we do. We always ask people to come out and help us out if they have the time.
Mm-hmm.
We're always looking for new searchers, for more boots on the ground. One of the many things that we've done to become better as a team, Team Maya, is we reached out to professional trackers to come and help us and teach us what to look for and how to go about, grid searching. And that's one of the things that we've been certified in, as in like a Tracker 1. There's different levels. We got Tracker 1 done. We might be able to do that again this winter to get level 2, get that one done, and continue on our efforts and becoming better every day.
Right.
Until we find Maya, and then maybe in the future help other families, just like you guys have been doing.
Awesome.
We have to start somewhere, and that's the plan. The long-term goal is to help other families.
Mm-hmm.
Once we can't help somebody if we need help, but once we find Maya, we'll be more than willing to help families, because unfortunately these tragedies are not going to end. We live in an evil world, and somebody's going to need our help someday, and we'll be more than happy to lend a hand.
Yeah, and you guys also got a court ordered, which is some really good news. You got a court order visitation with the children. We can't go into a lot of discussion on that because of the court, but you are able to see your nieces and nephew, the family. But then there's another dynamic, and I'm going to have Billy weigh in on that in a little bit. They've kind of turned around and they're suing you, and the family over on the other side. But it just you just can't make this stuff up. You just can't make this stuff up. I mean, not one of them has come to a single search since she disappeared. And now all of a sudden, you're supposed to be some type of, villains in this whole thing. So there's some legal maneuvering going on. There's no question about it. I think, the world knows that, like Bianca says here, this is ridiculous. And the truth will set you free, as it says. And you'll be able to, press forward with whatever the next piece of the puzzle is going to be.
Yes,
go ahead.
Chris, sorry about that. I just want to correct something.
Okay.
We're not being sued. We're not. No, the family. We're not being sued. I think the Chula Vista police. I think they're
the PD. Okay, I got that wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were named, but sorry.
Yeah, I don't.
Thank you.
Well, not that we know of.
Not that we know of, but I mean, people find out stuff before we do. Unfortunately, it's weird.
I don't.
Well, from what we know, we're not being sued. It's the Chula Vista Police Department that's being sued.
Richard, thank you for fixing me, because every once in a while I can open my mouth and insert my foot. Okay. No. And that was one of those moments. Counselor, what say you?
Please add me to the suit. I would love to be added to that suit, because you don't have Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights to be quiet in a civil suit. So the first person I'm deposing is Larry. Get him in a deposition, get him in a sworn statement, and let's see what he can answer, because he can't invoke the Fifth. I mean, he can, but you get what's called an adverse inference meaning that if he says, well, I refuse to answer in the Fifth Amendment, you can assume that what he was going to say would be damaging to him. So, I mean, it just shows that attorney's lack of experience in these cases, that she would open a civil suit and subject her client and all of the families to these depositions where they can't refuse to testify. I mean, what a stupid move, but good for the prosecutor, good for the city of Chula Vista. Keep suing them. Because all it's going to do is lead to more evidence showing that the defendant is guilty. I mean, she's just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Plant Love says Larry DLR does not look right. Okay, so let's talk about some of the legal maneuvering real fast. Billy, bring us up to speed on. So there was a competency hearing, just last week, and there's been a continuance, and this is the second continuance. And Richard and Maricris have been attending every one of those hearings. So, tell us about what's going on from a legal position.
Okay, so Richard and Maricris, I get to do the boring part. I'll make it as quick and painless as I can, but just I'll try to run through it real quick. So first of all, I've taken some notes. I'm going to look at my other screen and go run down it. So what's required to be competent to stand trial? Because a lot of people don't understand. So you have to understand the nature of the charges against you. You've been charged with murder. Do you understand that? Do you know what that means? You have to understand the roles of the players. You have to understand what's the judge's role, what's the prosecutor's role, what's your defense attorney's role, what's the jury's role, right? If you can understand that, you're competent. And there's a part that's used sometimes. Sorry, my nose is running. It happens when you get old.
And when you get really old, you use a tissue.
Right before your 61st birthday.
And you use the same tissue all day.
And I'm going to put a super. Thank you so much, Crimson. Perfect timing.
So the final thing is you have to be able to assist your attorney in preparing a defense. And so that part, the first two parts can be covered by the psychologist to do the evaluation, but the attorney is actually allowed to submit an affidavit to testify to say that my client cannot assist me with his defense for whatever reason they have, right? But now you've got the defense attorney testifying at the hearing, right? So it's something that a lot of people don't do. And I suspect because she's not very experienced, she doesn't understand fully the process. So what is the process? So here's the process. Somebody, a defense attorney, a judge, even a prosecutor can say, hey, this person needs to be evaluated for competency. Sometimes a prosecutor will request that to prevent them from claiming that they were incompetent on appeal or during the process later on. The person is then evaluated by a court-appointed psychologist, usually two. There's usually two opinions. And this is where we are in the process with this defendant. And I'm not going to refer to him as Larry. I'm going to refer to him as the defendant, right? Because that's what he is. He's a defendant in a murder charge, and he's the guy that's charged with it. So the defendant is evaluated by two court-appointed psychologists or psychiatrists, usually psychologists just because it's less expensive. They're paid a flat fee to do this. And it's an assembly line process. They get a flat rate for these things and they pump these out. They have to pump these reports out and they do a bunch of them to try and, make a living at it. And so sometimes it takes them longer than the people, like the victims in this case, like Richard and Maricris would like, longer than the court would like. And that's what's happened here is they've said, look, we need more time to prepare these reports. All right. They prepare the reports, they submit them to the court. The defense gets to look at them. If they think there's something in there that he said that they don't want the prosecutor to see, they ask the court to redact that from the report. Then there's a competency hearing, and that's where we're at now. But the hearing keeps getting delayed. It's getting delayed because these reports are not ready. Not unusual, but very dissatisfying to the victims and their family, Richard and Maricris specifically, right? Then there's a hearing, and then the court will find in short order after that. It doesn't take long. The courts are quicker than the psychologists. The court will make a determination based on the evidence whether the defendant is competent or not, right? So if the defendant is not competent, they're sent to what's called restoration to competency, where they send them to a little, they're still in custody. They never leave custody, right? So good for the community, good for everybody in this case. He's going to sit in custody until he goes to trial and is convicted. So he will still remain in custody. He'll go to restoration to competency, where they're going to teach him, okay, Mr. Defendant, do you understand what the charges are? No, I don't understand what it is. Well, here, we're going to teach you what it is, okay? Do you understand what a defense attorney is? No, I don't understand. Okay, well, we're going to teach you. And we're going to shove that down your throat until you become competent and stop goofing around. So he's going to sit in restoration of competency. It's not like, have you guys seen that movie Primal Fear with Richard Gere and Ed Norton, where he goes in and he fakes like he's incompetent and he kills the priest or whatever? Anyway, it's not like that, not in real life, right? So he's going to sit there. He's not going anywhere. And this tactic is not going to work out well. And I'm going to explain to you why it's not going to work out well in a few minutes. But if the court finds that he's competent, and that's 99% of the cases, then the case is going to be set for trial. Now, the defense attorney can go in there and say, well, I disagree with the findings because he can't assist me at trial, or I've hired some independent expert who's evaluated him, and now I want to add that to the motion. I want to have another competency hearing. Which, by the way, as I'm going to explain to you in a minute, that's a backwards way to do it. That's a sure sign that the defense attorney doesn't know what they're doing, is that they didn't bother to get their expert to do an evaluation first. And I'll explain that in a minute, why that's important, but why it's a huge mistake, and it's too late for this knucklehead. So this could be delayed even further. Not to worry. He's going to be found competent at some point. He will stand trial. All this shenanigans, because it's not really a strategy. It doesn't fit in with a strategy, especially in this case. I'm going to explain that too in a second. So the question is, well, to what is there a benefit? To what advantage to the defendant is this request for competency evaluation? What is the advantage to the defendant? Well, as I said a minute ago, it's not a big advantage because they're going to sit in custody. And by the way, jail is much worse than prison. So he's going to sit in jail in a place that's worse than where he's going to go, which is prison. And he's going to sit there until he stands trial. He obviously hasn't been to prison, because people that have been in prison are like, hey, man, just get me to prison as quick as you can. So if he enjoys jail, let him sit there, and let him sit there for as long as he wants. So what about, is it a tactical benefit? Is this some sort of strategy that the defense attorney is using? And so it is possible that she realized that she's in over her head, that she's not up to speed. She doesn't know the case. She's not qualified to do this case. So she needs more time to prepare. Well, that's a real problem in this case for her, because thus far, the defense strategy appears to be that, oh, Maya's just missing. She just ran off. She's going to come back. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, genius, the longer you delay this, the less reasonable it appears that she's ever going to come back. So if that is your defense strategy, now you're making it worse on yourself. You're making it more difficult to show to a reasonable person off the street that, oh, yeah, she's going to walk back through those courtroom doors. No. So the longer this goes on, the better for that, and the harder it's going to be for her to present that type of defense. So there are cases where people are found incompetent. So I can't mention the name because of state bar rules, but a client that I had was really delusional. He killed his entire family, right? He thought that they had been replaced by imposters. And the guy legitimately had a mental problem. He had a real delusion. It's called Capgras delusion. It's a very rare delusion, but it was legit. Trust me, it was legit. He called the police on himself. He said, "Come and get these imposters and help me find my family." And he just killed his family. So he was nuts. I mean, that's a technical term. He was nuts. So what happened to him? Did he ever stand trial? Well, guess what? He was found to be incompetent. So what did they do? They sent him to this restoration to competency until they pounded those issues that I explained to you until he became competent. That guy with a real mental illness became competent. He stood trial. He was convicted for all 3 of the murders of his family members. So even with a real mental illness, and I've talked to the defendant in this case, he doesn't have a mental illness. The mental illness I'll talk about, it will probably be found to be antisocial personality disorder. Some people used to call it sociopath, narcissistic, and he's also going to be found to be malingering, which is lying, right? And that's going to be a problem, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Generally, the only people who continue to be found incompetent are IQ problems. So I had a client one time who had an IQ of 55, right? You can't fix that. You can't add IQ points in the restoration of competency process. But guess what? They sent him to the process anyway. So they're not going to let this guy, this defendant, walk around and run the show. He's going to go through the process.
Well, just real fast, Billy, hang on for a sec. What are your thoughts, Maricris and Richard, listening to this so far? Because the viewers are going, interesting information. Thank you for this, and I'm picking up some things as well. What are your thoughts, if any?
It's good to have a picture of what's going on. I spoke to Billy earlier this week.
That's not your question. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Was you talking to me or you talking to?
Either one. I mean, I listen to my wife all the time. When she says it's my turn to talk, then it's my turn to talk. So, Richard, it's not your turn to talk. Maricris, what do you think?
I'm out.
He does that all the time. He does. I think I need to take him to the doctor because he does have hard of hearing. I needed to get him a hearing aid. Well, to me, it's very informative, and we're glad Billy is, giving us all the details and information because it's very, very, very informative and very interesting.
Okay, Richard, you can say something now.
No, I'm good. She said what I was going to say. So
yeah, hey, you know what's really cool?
Chris.
Yeah, go, Bill.
Maricris, let me know when I can keep going.
Oh yes, please.
You know what's really cool? To see you guys smiling. It's really cool. And you're right, Richard does need hearing aids, and I got a good shop. If you need one, it's called Costco. So that's what I got. Okay, Billy, I didn't mean to interrupt, but so does it sound like it's making sense to you guys right now?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, we're following through. Yeah, thank you.
So Maricris, can I keep going?
Please do.
So, Maricris and we're the criers of this group. So if she starts crying, I'm going to start crying. That's just the way it works. So the longer he sits in custody, and I've done thousands of cases, so the longer he sits in custody, the more likely he is to want to cut a deal, the more uncomfortable he becomes, and the more they start losing the motions, losing the hearings, he sees what's going on, he sees what's going to happen to him. So more likely to make a deal. And if he does make a deal, that requires 2 things. He's going to have to admit guilt, right? And he's going to have to also tell what he did with Maya's body. So that could be an advantage that could come out of this, although with his personality type, it's going to take a lot of movement to get us there. So what does it tell us about his attorney and about the process that she has requested this competency hearing? First of all, it tells us that she's very inexperienced with homicide cases. I hope that she's not so inexperienced that when he's convicted, it comes back because she was ineffective at trial. But that standard is so high, I suspect that if he gets to choose his attorney, here you go. You roll your dice, you take your chances. And he's picked his poison. And there are reasons why he picked her, probably for control, because she doesn't have control of her client. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And so she's very inexperienced because, Chris, you and I did a homicide trial earlier this year where we were defending a young lady who was accused of murder who didn't murder. So what you want to do when you have a client who's innocent, you want to get that person to trial, and especially if they're in custody. If your client is innocent, you want to be in trial as quickly as possible because you're going to go in there and you're going to show that these charges are a bunch of BS, right? You're going to show that your client is innocent, right? So it's kind of a little signal that the client and the attorney both know that he's probably guilty, right? And so they're trying to do a little delay. And why would they delay if he's in custody? If he's innocent, you want to get into trial and prove it. So again, I spoke to Larry. I'm sorry, I used his name. I spoke to the defendant a couple of days after his wife went missing. He had no problem having a rational conversation with me. We talked for a long time. He didn't have any problems hearing, and now he goes into court with this hearing aid. And he had multiple media interviews where he had rational conversations. He made his points that he wanted to make. Didn't appear to be mentally incompetent to anybody, right? Didn't appear to have a hearing problem to anybody. And now he comes into court saying, oh, I'm nuts and I can't hear a thing. Well, as a defense attorney, you want your client to look like the most sane person in that courtroom, right? If your client comes in and people are looking at him like, oh, this guy's a mess, right? That's a bad look for a defendant, especially in a murder case. And so that's what's going on now. And it tells me that she has no control. He is in charge. He is the one who is running the show, which is probably why he picked who he picked as his defense attorney, because he can control her. She's going to do whatever he says, right? Which, I mean, that's just crazy. You have to get control of your client because they don't understand what's going on here. But she doesn't have enough experience to know she needs to control him. And I suspect she's afraid that if she tries to get control of him, he'll fire her and get somebody else. And she's afraid of that. So she had no client control. Again, that's going to be horrible at trial. If she can't control him now, when they get in the middle of trial, it's going to just be a nightmare, right? And it's going to be, I had a case one time where my client, there was a competency hearing because he wanted to represent himself. He's facing the death penalty. He wanted to represent himself. And I said, yeah, he's probably competent to stand trial, but he's not competent to represent himself. And that's kind of what's going on here. And so the client then said, well, maybe we should have Mr. Little's competency evaluated. So the judge said, well, he makes a good point. There's just no rule for that. Mm-hmm. So she is out of control here.
Well, another interesting point, Billy, just kind of dovetail into your thought. Remember when he had all the letters of character reference written for him?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that, he's working at a very, pretty good place. He's working in the Balboa Hospital, in optometry. And then all of a sudden he gets all these letters of reference for his character before he was arrested. And now all of a sudden he's nuts while he's in jail. I mean, it's like, yeah, okay. I think he's probably doing pretty good in the kitchen. In jail, he'd probably get a couple of letters in there now. That's just my opinion. And I know Maricris doesn't like that, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut. But at the same time, to your point, he's got to show incompetency, and everything post or pre-incident and now post-incident is not looking good. Go ahead.
Yeah, excellent point, Chris. Excellent point. So I mentioned a little while ago that they should have their own expert. I mean, if you're a good defense attorney, what you do is you have your client, exactly, Mimi's right. He's trying to control the narrative, but it's not working. He's out of his league, and so is his attorney. So what you do if you're a competent defense attorney is you go get an expert, you have them evaluate your client. They come up with a report that says, these are the things, I performed these tests, this is what's wrong with him, this is why he's not competent. Now you have that report in hand, so when you go in to do the evaluation, the court-ordered evaluation, those psychologists now have to address that report that came from your expert. She didn't do that because she didn't know what she's doing, right? So now she's going to have to go back after they get 2 evaluations that say he's competent, and then she's going to go get an expert and spend money on that to say he's not. Well, that's exactly the opposite way to do that. And that tells me she has 0 experience in homicide trials. I mean, that is just such an amateur mistake, but, you know, good for the prosecution, bad for the defendant. So we talked a little about antisocial personality disorder. So the reports are likely going to say that. They're probably going to say some in there bipolar, which everybody is bipolar nowadays in these reports. They're going to say antisocial personality. And they're also going to say that he's faking it, right? He's malingering. And although these reports cannot be used at trial, the defense attorney has closed some doors to their defense, right? And if they open doors, then all of a sudden these reports come into play. Now the jury may hear what's in that report, may hear that he has antisocial, that he's a sociopath, that he's a liar. They may hear that. But you can't now, as a defense attorney, now you have to be careful not to raise any sort of mental defect or mental distress. And you certainly can't put an expert on the stand to say, oh, well, he was under such great distress that he snapped, right? Because as soon as you do that, now they're going to use these reports to cross-examine the defense experts. So huge tactical error that she did this. But guess what? Good for the prosecution. And that's what we like to hear, right? Yeah. So just very inexperienced. And there's also, why do I say there's, likely antisocial personality disorder? Not just because, that's generally what comes back, but because they're going to look at the history of the defendant in this case. And what is his history? He has a history of antisocial behavior. When he was a teenager, he was involved in gang activity. He got involved in a stabbing incident in San Diego. He's been involved in altercations with park rangers. I mean, there's a long history of his antisocial personality disorder. And I'm sorry, I got some feedback. I'm not sure where that came from.
No problem.
So that's going to support that. And also their family constellation. They're going to look at what's the family. Is there a family history of this type of disorder? Well, when you look at the irrational behavior that his father has been exhibiting in the media and in public, they're going to take a look at that too, right? So now, what does the family do when he gets in trouble? Do they punish him? Do they hold him accountable? Or do they run off to Hawaii and try to run away, enable and facilitate his bad behavior? And then we kind of see where the origin of this bad behavior, this antisocial personality disorder, where that came from, where the sociopath comes from. And it comes from the family dynamics, right? So they're going to look at that, and that's not going to work out well. And at some point, that's going to come into play when it's time to determine where these children are too, right? So, I mean, it's a long game. This is absolutely a marathon, right? And nobody knows that better than Richard and Maricris when they're out there searching. This is a marathon, absolutely. And what this attorney is doing is just failing miserably. So let me see. Yeah, I think those are the key points that I wanted to hit. And I hope I didn't bore everybody to death with this legal nonsense.
No, not at all. Very informative.
But I can tell you that as frustrating as it is to watch this delay over and over, because there's no closure, right? There's no resolution. There's no whatever. But what happens at trial? Trial is a light switch. Usually, I mean, it's just oversimplification. There are variations of it, but it's guilty or not guilty, right? On each of the charges, whatever those charges are. The longer he sits in jail in an uncomfortable position, there's not a risk of anybody finding him not guilty. So guess what? Delay it for the rest of your life. Right. It's not very satisfying to the victims' families, and it's not fair to the victims' families, but you've just given yourself a life sentence without the opportunity to go to trial, which is dumb, right? If you want some resolution, if you ever want to get out of jail, you need to get your butt into trial. That's your only way out of this mess. Actually, what he should do is start working on a deal. But his attorney's not smart enough to do that. She's not experienced enough to do that. Go and offer some information in exchange for a deal. Offer, okay, well, this is where she is, right? And if you give me a few less years, I'll tell you where she is, right? And that's what a good defense attorney would do once they see that the cards are stacked against them, that this is not going to end well. And it's not going to end well. The defendant in this case is going to be found guilty, and he's going to rot in jail for the rest of his life. And that just makes me very happy. So maybe I'm not going to heaven.
But there's, as we always talk about, and we've all been now, brought together by the universe on schedule, unfortunately, but there is only one place for this individual. I mean, he's a dangerous man. I mean, that's the bottom line. He's a dangerous man. And, Billy and I both get kind of excited to see somebody like that taken out of society because, Maya, there could be multiple Mayas if this man was out. And so what you're doing by standing strong and staying, in the fight for your sister, even though as painful as that is, because you have to reflect on, the memories, the good memories that you guys had as a family before all of this craziness took place. And it's conflicting sometimes because you lived with, your sister and in terms of your life, and you've seen, the ups and the downs, and, for goodness sakes, the guy's coming, was getting invited to the party, the birthday party for your niece, his daughter. And then all of this, goes crazy. And so I think the way all the feelings that you're having and that you have had for quite some time are really, really valid and normal. And it's okay to have compassion for him in a sense. But at the same time, the other side of this is you'll come to a realization that he did not have compassion for your family, for your sister. It was a facade all this time, at least for a couple of years, right? And so everybody putting these super chats up and stuff, I'm catching them, and we'll get to your questions. So please be patient with me on that. I'm seeing them come in, but don't panic. At some point, though, you guys will be at a place, phase three, after, I know this is just phase two, and we talked about it, right? Phase three will be, if we could have Billy in the courtroom, but I know the DA down there in San Diego is a land shark, and he's going to wish, differently. But the fact that all your behavior, all the things you guys have done, will be a very clear message to an impartial jury that Maya was a victim here and who she is. And all the things that he's done and the elegant way Billy just laid it out legally is going to go against the defendant. And sometimes, that can get really messy now in perception. But I mean, Billy, you've done this 1,000 times in front of a jury, and we've both watched the jurors walk out, go and staring at the defendant going, "You're done. You're done." Right? And you don't know what the verdict's going to be, but if you just kind of look at them when they're leaving, if they're staring at that individual, there's a high probability that when you see the defense attorney start packing stuff in their briefcase a little bit sooner than necessary, you know it's not a good sign for your client. But that said, what are your thoughts, Richard and Maricris? What you've heard so far?
You go first. You go first. No, I just want to say thanks for breaking it down for us. I mean, when you spoke about something popped in my mind that when you spoke about Larry's past, how they instead of facing the consequences, they packed him up and sent him to Hawaii when he was 17, 18. That's before he met Maya. It's clear as day that they're not ready to face consequences. They don't believe what Larry says no matter what. And by they, I mean his family, his side of the family. They still believe that Maya just woke up one day and just decided to leave the house, leave everything behind. And it's sad because how even after all this, they're still going to believe that he's innocent, and there's nothing that's going to change their mindset. That's what I think. That's just my 2 cents on what's going on with his side of the family. And for them to say, we're a very close family, there's no defense on their side saying that we were supportive, that they were supportive in any kind of way to find Maya. They all turned their backs on family right away as soon as they knew the truth. I mean, I think they know the truth, but they won't face it. They won't come to a realization that Maya is not coming back. And that's the part that she's hurt like so much. There is so much hope, and love for them, even though there was, we didn't agree with them all 100% on all things they did, but to just, I guess, when they just turned their back on us and said, "Oh, we don't want to get involved," that was another, stab in the back, kind of, that just came up, and she's told me we're alone on this. Our family's alone on this. We need help. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, when JR brought up the name Billy Little, and I was, who's that? And it was a miracle that happened that week.
Right.
We just didn't. I can't comprehend how great God is when putting people online, and God allows things to happen, but there's a greater good for it. There's a greater thing going on than just, missing a loved one is hard, but there's some good coming out of all this somehow. Yeah. And it's hard to accept, but it is.
Yeah. Again.
Sorry. I just
we get very emotional, and there's so much going on too, and and again, with what Billy have said, there's so much information, and what else,
there's a lot of information there, a lot of good information.
Yeah,
that's the one thing that stuck out, his history with facing consequences. He's always ran away, even in his young age. He was never man enough to face consequences. He would always run.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. It's
and it's showing today too. The same character. He's always a liar. He's always been a liar.
But thank you, Billy, for for all the detailed information, and you're right. I just hope, my thing too is that I just hope, as you said, they're not going to be, the court's not going to see it as his defense lawyer is not competent enough to defend him, that he's going to come back again. So that was just my worry too, because again, as you mentioned so many times, that she's not haven't done this before. She's not
she's
a
really
defense
good.
lawyer. She's inexperienced in this matter. So I hope it's not going to come back and say, he's not, what was the term?
Ineffective assistance of counsel.
Yeah. So that's just one of my worries too.
Those cases, there have been cases where the attorney was drunk throughout the entire trial, and they have found him to be competent. So they look at it like, what is the evidence of guilt? And there's a lot of evidence in this case about guilt. So that, yeah, maybe she's made some mistakes, but guess what? He gets to pick his attorney. I'm maybe 5% worried that that's an ineffective assistance of counsel, but 95% sure that the appellate courts are going to find that it was fine. He picked his poison. He wanted to go down this route. So there you go.
Yeah, and you're right. He still wants to control. He is still wants to control, his defense lawyers, and she's been doing that too. She doesn't have any say on anything.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, Billy, what goes through the mind of a defense attorney when you have a client like this? I mean, from your experience, I mean, in terms of, because you've been up against, folks where you've had to fix it.
Yeah, it depends on the level of competency and experience in the defense attorney. So I've come on cases after there have been 3, 4, 5 defense teams who have been kicked off of a case because they're not competent and the defendant couldn't get along with them. So it's not unusual, but based on my experience and my understanding of the law, which is a lot. It's a lot. But he's making his own bet. And what do they say? Play stupid games, get stupid prizes. Here you go.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say too much because I also don't want to help, right? I don't want to help his defense team, right? So keep doing what you're doing, guys. You're doing great. Keep it up, Bonita.
I love it.
Doing what you're doing.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so are you guys up for a couple of comments and questions?
I could listen to Billy talk all day, man.
Oh, I could too. I mean, that's why I have him on,
Just take notes. Just take notes. Notes.
When I get his age, I want to be just like him.
Oh.
One day.
Okay, so Anne asks, is she out of control? Is it possible there's something else going on, like she's afraid or intimidated? Does that ever happen in the situation? I'm assuming that's about the attorney.
Yeah. So she's definitely operating out of fear. Most attorneys are, and she definitely is. It's just that most inexperienced attorneys aren't seasoned enough to recognize that the fear, right? And you've got, I don't want to help her, but she's definitely operating out of fear. She's not seasoned enough to recognize that that's what's going on here. So let her deal with her own fear. Yeah, not my problem.
So Dogs with Jobs says, does the defendant's background, former life responsibility, job responsibilities ever get taken into consideration to prove that someone is indeed faking incompetence?
Yeah, it's a totality of the circumstances, and there are certain tests. And again, I don't want to give away too much, but there are tests that will be given to him that will expose his malingering, they expose his lying. There are hundreds and hundreds of questions on these tests, and they're worded in such a way that if you answer one way, and another one a different way, you won't be able to recognize that they're testing whether or not you're lying and faking it. But these tests have been around for a long time, and they're pretty good at it. So he will be exposed as what he is,
Right.
liar.
And so here's more of a comment. And Billy, what do you think about this? CM Kathy says, I recall there's evidence of his controlling behavior. His family is not helping his case. Look at Maya's family versus Larry's family's behavior. A jury will see this.
Well, I mean, if you look at Maya's family, I mean, just look at Maricris, man. I wish I had half the love that she has in her heart. She's just an amazing woman.
Oh,
It's true.
Yeah.
thank you. Just doing it for my sister, and for the family. I think it's I just being the oldest, I guess. As I said, I've been taking care of my siblings, since um, the beginning. I think I told everybody. I remembered the day that Maya was born. Like I remember her first cry. So I think I felt like the love for her and for for our siblings. So. mm,
And here's a please join the family every Thursday to pray for Maya at 445 PST. We welcome all prayer warriors. That's been going on a long time. Thank you, Carrie.
Yes, I know, Carrie. Thank you so much for that. Yes, and she's been our host for our prayer every Thursday. We do that at 5:01. We start 4:45 with the songs, and then 5:01 on Thursday. That's the Thursday that she went missing, and so that's been 19 months of doing every Thursday praying for her. I'm hoping we'll bring her home.
And the 501.
But yeah, 501 is she was born May 1st, so that's been our time. That's in May 1st.
So, Billy, every time you talk, Amy's IQ rises.
Yes, I agree with that.
Mine too, Amy. Mine too, by the way. I think we all feel that way. And this is a really good question here from Gian. How can he make decisions for his kid if he's not competent to stand trial? That's a good point, Billy.
Yeah, the competency, like I say, the competency test to determine whether you can stand trial is different. That's going to be a question in the family court that they're going to. I mean, he's shooting himself in the foot left and right. But I agree with the logic that, wait, if you're not competent, how can you be competent to make decisions about anything? You can't even defend yourself.
Exactly.
So, but
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just sometimes the legal field doesn't work in the way rational people think. So,
if there's even if he appeals, he'll still be in prison, right?
oh yeah. No, he will likely get an automatic appeal after he's convicted, and then the rest of them will be discretionary.
Main girl says Amber Heard took the same test.
I don't know what test she's talking about.
I love this one. Stupidity is not the same as incompetency, right?
Right.
Do we have the best TIR TIR family? I just love these people. They are so smart and much smarter than I'll ever be, but they just really, I mean, they're just so bright, and they've come across such some really good things. So we can't talk about the kids lifelong learner because of the court orders right now, but they do. Richard and Maricris are able to see them and spend some time with them. So that's a huge blessing in their lives. But we want to stay. We got to stay away from that because of the court order. So that says, and let's see here. I've got a couple more here. This one's about the civil suit. Will the civil suit take place while the criminal trial, or is it going to after?
That's an excellent point, because the longer they delay the criminal trial, it allows the civil case to go forward, and then you get into that situation that I talked about, which is you get to depose them under oath, and they can't take the Fifth Amendment. So, hey man, I would love to see that civil case get fast tracked so we can get these people under oath. It's going to help the criminal case.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's kind of hard. I mean, like because I'm talking about, she is when I say she is the defendant lawyer, because she has the guardianship. She's taking care of that, and then she's taking care of the civil lawsuit, and she's taking care of the defense lawsuit too. I mean, the defense lawyer. She's the defense lawyer, so I'm not sure how she's handling it.
It's like a super attorney.
She's a super lawyer.
Super lawyer.
She's just handling
Super
three different cases.
It was hard for me to be an expert in homicide. I can't imagine how she's an expert in all these career fields.
Yeah, she has family, civil suit, and then now and the defense. So she is the super lawyer.
Yeah, and I don't know if our viewers know that, but it's the same attorney handling both the civil problem, thank you, Tammy, and the criminal problem.
Yeah.
And then the civil.
The civil one too.
So three.
The lawsuit.
Three, all three.
Yeah, all three.
Billy, how many plates does she spin on the weekends? Yeah.
If she can do that, she's the smartest attorney I've ever met, and she's not.
Doing this with plates.
Yeah, it's like, and Heather, whatever. Thank you. Oh man, who pays for the attorney? Jeannie's asking. Billy, the court will. Did the court appoint her? So this is. Hey, there's Butters.
There's Butters.
How's he doing? I got Buddy asleep underneath me here. He's down underneath my. How's he doing? How's his leg doing?
He's doing great. He just came up and wanted to be a part of the show.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I got my dog Scrappy right here by my feet.
Scrappy? I don't know if anybody's ever seen Scrappy. Will he come up?
Scrappy.
Or is he too scrappy?
So the question is, who's paying for the attorney, right? I don't want to miss that.
Yeah, who's paying for the attorney?
Larry is paying for his own attorney. And again, I don't want to help him, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Good job, Larry.
I love it. So is it rare? Well, this question right here. Isn't it rare for an attorney to do both civil and criminal?
Some attorneys, they just have to put food on the table, right? So they got to make a living. So they'll go out and they'll try to do everything. But you cannot be an expert. There's just too much to know. And if you hire an attorney who says, oh, yeah, I do divorce, I do civil, I do probate, I do criminal, I do estate law. I mean, you're not getting an expert. And when it comes to homicide, the most serious of the criminal cases,
You might have to go to YouTube and hire an investigator.
What's that?
Go to YouTube and hire an investigator.
There you go.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, yeah, appreciate that.
It's like a doctor. It's like a doctor, you can't go to like an eye doctor and go to a heart doctor and then be an expert on it. So I think it's the same thing with lawyers.
Yeah. You wouldn't want your foot doctor operating on your heart. Oh, I like that thought, criminal.
Unless that's all you can afford. Don't be complaining later on.
Well, the good news is the DA's office has some really sharp attorneys, and the gal that's going to take this case on, as they say, this isn't her first rodeo, and you've got to be really on the ball to know this case because there's so many twists and turns. I mean, it's, the blood cells. Go ahead, Billy.
Chris, you know this, even in the prosecutor's office, and all they do is prosecute criminal cases, even in the prosecutor's office, they have a special homicide prosecutor division, right? They're trained, they're experts at it, they do it all the time, they know what they're doing. So even a prosecutor is not going to go out there and try a DUI case one day and a homicide case the next.
Yep. And to answer this, Gabriel, yes, I was just up there. I was up there on the Michael Vaughn case. And great things coming on that. If you're just joining with us tonight, we have Richard and Maricris here, and of course, Billy Little, attorney, just amazing legal mind. And they're still looking. We're still looking for Maya. And there is. I just put the link in just now. for a search GoFundMe, and those funds help buy water, gas, all the stuff that you need to keep going out there. You've been out there now 18 months,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And you're out there all the time. And this is always just a way for the public to help. We have TIR. We don't do any of that. That all is over there. Go to that link. Don't send anything here. Send it over there. We don't touch it. We don't. And even in the D. Warner case, we don't touch money up there. We do it because we need to do it, and that's the way it is, and that's the right thing to do. So, what else is going? What other thoughts is that going on in your heads?
Well, just just a continued support for for our search. So that's just our main focus is to go find our sister, whoever can help and come and search with us. And again, whoever is have maybe a connections or who knew somebody that has cadaver dogs out there that be able to come and help us sometime in we're looking between and sometime in November, December, January, where the cooler weather is. Hopefully, if somebody out there be able to help us with that. And again, with the GoFundMe that we just started, those funds is just going to be for again, just for gas, because gas is expensive, and a lot of times we have to drive 2 hours to and from our search area. So we would want to help our volunteers and just to pay for some of their gas, and of course the food. We provide the food, and then sometimes we do an overnight. When we do Saturday and Sunday search, we do get lodging for some of the volunteers. So those are going for the funding. And then primarily
search equipment.
Yeah.
Mostly gas. Food.
Mostly gas, because that's been the main thing. It's a 2-hour drive just one way, 2-3 hours drive one way. So
and just have you guys kind of guesstimated how many square miles you think you've covered?
Oh.
Has anybody ever asked you that question?
I mean, the desert's so big, but I mean,
yeah.
Like my wife had mentioned, or she stated that we haven't even scratched the surface as to the area that we're searching. It's such a mass location,
right?
And we have to start knocking spots down, and there's a list of areas that we have, and we're just going one by one,
right?
And
we're actually putting together a map that we've searched, but I just don't know how long.
So Arkansas Peaches, you can reach out to the family through that. Do you have an email? What's an email that you guys use so she can reach out to you?
The FindMaya.com, and then or also where's that our email?
That would be great.
At helpfindmaya@gmail.com. That'd be like really amazing. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we would love to sit down and talk, make plans.
Yeah.
Thank you, Arkansas Peaches. Thank you.
Arkansas, yes. Thank you so much.
So I just put it into the chat. helpfindmaya@gmail.com.
Definitely.
That's right. So a guesstimate, I'm sorry. And, you guys have had search and rescue. I know you guys have been working very closely back when it initially was kicking off. They searched a lot of areas, but you guys have been really disorganizing volunteer searchers to come and just keep covering land. And,
right. Yeah. So we never really got any search and rescue organizations that stepped in for us. It's just primarily volunteers. So yeah, we never really got an organized like a real professional searchers that came and helped us. We just put in together as family and volunteers together, and we just did our search.
Somebody asked what the search location was. Just generally.
We've been searching, all over San Diego area. We do a recon on areas that people would suggest, and we recon the area and then see if it's a possibility that it's a good area to search. And we search the area, but then a lot of times we've been going to the desert is our main.
Yeah, we're going. I mean, we like I mentioned before, that guy Fernando Marina, he broke it down. Get Maya's last location where we last saw her, and go 25 miles out and search all those areas around the house. After that, then go out 50 miles out, search that out. Any creeks, anything that looks suspicious. We're at what, 100 miles now, something like that. But there's still so many spots, and we're just going, further and further.
And in the desert.
And the deserts, that's where it's leading. I mean, we've always said it has to be the desert. Just because that was the last time we hung out with Maya. It was that New Year's at Glamis. Glamis, everybody knows. I mean, if you like the desert, you know what Glamis is. And Borrego Springs, the high desert.
Yeah, and I know we've reached out. We've talked to Jared at AWP numerous times. Right now, there's just not enough water or anything like that in that geographical search zone, and so right now, his efforts are better spent helping, do what he's doing on the other side. And then drones. I know you've had some guys out there with drones, and even you have a drone yourself, right? You guys have a couple of drones yourself.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you're utilizing those. I know you've reached out to EquiSearch in the past, and there's been a whole, this has been going on a year and a half. So these are all great ideas, and as a result of that, guys, thank you so much for your, chiming in here. In my view, Maya would not have left her cell phone if she left on her own will. I totally agree with that. And all of that stuff's going to come up in trial. And, we don't want to speculate on some of the other things. Can Manny help with search dogs? I'm just reading everybody's comments here as they're coming in here. And thank you for that, Targo. Any other thoughts coming to mind? I've had you guys. You were just on Court TV the other night, so we're Vinny Palatine. Don't you love that guy?
Oh yeah.
He's really done a tremendous amount to keep your sister's name in a national spotlight.
Yes. He's actually the first one to interview us and then put Maya's name out there too. So we're truly, grateful for him also.
I'm sorry you were on with that weirdo, that guy from Charleston, South Carolina, the other night. Me.
No.
What? You're like, what? Oh, no. Sorry. You had to put up with me on that.
Oh no, no, Chris. We're always
Yeah.
Can I just give a comment about the searches? So the searches are not only important for the family to find closure and to have a proper burial for Maya, but it's also would be incredibly helpful to the prosecution. So the more help they can get to try to find Maya, the better, because if they're fortunate enough to find her, then the prosecution has a much better case.
Yeah, and the search radius is so broad because where he was, he had to put into the GPS how to get back to his house. and that
Right.
was it was approximately a 2.5 hour drive, guesstimate. So that really is quite, significant driving, where he doesn't even know where he was based
Right.
on potentially that information. They have family Upper Desert, Apple Valley, Victorville. Do you know? Did he have family up there?
No.
No.
Okay.
The,
Okay, let me see. I got one more, and then, as you guys know, here's a question for Billy. Isn't her being the lawyer for all aspects conflict of interest just appears to be an ethics problem?
Could be. So she's representing multiple parties. She would have to get a waiver of the conflict. And so, again, I'm not going to help her figure out how to do her job correctly. But, if things go south and she didn't do the proper ethical things, then her bar license is going to be in trouble. There are ways to do it ethically. And based on what I've seen from her, she doesn't understand much of that. So sue me too.
That's what we love about Billy. This is always, always, always the best of the best. He really is. And so I have okay, I'm gonna let you guys, as you know, I give the last word to our guest. And Richard, Maricris, that's going to be you. And Billy, do you want to say anything before you and I kind of step off?
Let's let them close it.
Okay, so you guys get the last word, and then when you're done, as you guys know, we're going to go to Hawaii. Okay, and tell everybody, I don't know if folks are just joining with us. If you're not familiar, that Maya and Maricris and their family grew up in Hawaii. Their father had migrated over from the Philippines into the loving aloha spirit, and she just emanates that. And we're so grateful for you guys, for your tenacity, for your love, not only for your sister but for the world. You guys have been a very classy family who has shown tremendous restraint through all of the things you've had to put up with. So I just think you're fantastic. When you're done, we're going to go to Hawaii. So Billy and I, we're going to sign off here for a second, and we'll see you in a little bit. Okay. Love to all. Mahalo. Love you. Aloha. Hang on.
Well, I don't know how many times I can say thank you, from the Tal Balanza family. We truly appreciate your guys' support, just being here, listening to our story, to our sister's story, showing the love. We are desperate for answers. We really are. We just want to bring Maya home. She's got 3 beautiful kids that need a lot of help. And, it's hard to understand, God's greatness. We see it in everybody's support when they show up, just come and praying with us every Thursday for the 1.5 years. We just want to say thanks. And if there's anyone out there that can help us get our dogs, equipment, I know there's someone out there with good connections that would be able to help us, once the weather gets a lot cooler out here in California. That would be awesome. And everybody's welcome. We don't turn anybody back.
Yeah.
And just we're grateful, really grateful for everybody's support. For Chris, Billy. He's an amazing human being. Just Maya was just an amazing woman, mother, sister, a friend.
We need to bring her home.
We need, yeah. We need to bring her home to her 3 kids so they know the truth.
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts, wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah, make special memories together. I'll be your company now and forever. I say we fly away, you and me, go to our favorite place. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. With you, Hawaii. I need a summer breeze, some fresh air to put my mind at ease. No cares. You wanna come with me? Me and you go to our favorite tree. Are you ready now? We jump on a plane now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. Don't hesitate now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. We'll never come down. We're going away. Yeah, we're going away. You and me. Feeling the sun on my face in a while.